All right, my dudes, we are live. You should be able to hear me. Welcome, welcome. I am your welcome wagon. This is the new setup for the Pangburn show. I'm on a little bit early just to test it out, play some Civ. During the show, I'm probably going to be doing some gaming. People like it, I guess. So we're going to be playing some Civilization 6 while talking about some different topics. So I hope you guys are excited. Andy will be joining me in about half hour.
He's already here.
He's already here, and Mace is chilling as well right now. If you guys aren't a member of our Discord server yet, please join us. I'm gonna drop you an invite link right here. By the way, if you guys don't know, Mace, also known as Mace Starwalk on our Discord server, he hosts our Friday show, Convince Me Otherwise. But you guys are never going to get announcements about that if you don't join us on Discord. There's the Discord link. We're going to be talking about a bunch of things today, including the where we're at with this trucker convoy. They actually came through Vancouver, and there was a lot going on over the weekend in Vancouver. And I was actually, when I was out driving, running some errands, I passed right by them. Some things I witnessed. Some people were just like honking and making their cause known, and then other people were like, if they were driving by in their truck, which was like completely covered in things that like fuck Trudeau's got to go, and mandates, things like that. Like the protesters, the counter protesters on the street were like, fuck you, rednecks. Like I heard that a lot. Obviously I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then their response would be just honk louder. And then they were like, fuck you, hippie. Like I was hearing all this like hippie versus redneck talk, which I thought was, kind of interesting. But we're just getting going here, guys. Drop a like when you get into the room. Going to be playing some Civilization. What up, Jack? Share this stream, you guys. Go share it. I'm just doing my shares right now before we get started even. I gotta hit Facebook up. I gotta hit the Facebook. Anyways, what's new with you guys? Say hello when you get into the chat. Mace, what's on your mind?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Actually, no, yeah. I have been thinking about my topic for Friday, which is the value of a human life.
Right. Value of a human life. And how do you go about determining that?
I have no idea. That's why I want to see how other people do it.
Right. Interesting. What do you expect? Do you have any anticipation? How do you think people generally go about valuing?
Honestly, this is one thing that I have literally no opinions of.
Wow.
At all. No idea. Completely on the fence.
Yeah.
Open to literally any ideas.
Do you agree?
That's why it's not going to be a normal convince me otherwise segment. It's just going to be a regular open discussion.
Right. I mean, I think people make values up. They come from the subject. Yeah, that's a good topic. I like the idea.
By the way, I mean primarily from a law and order perspective. For example, if I was to kill somebody, what should the penalty be?
Right.
Like, how many years in prison is that life worth, or what sum of money do I have to pay?
Right.
For example, what is the actual tangible value that I have to pay in order to kill a person?
Right.
Not that I want to. I'm just interested.
I'm going to go live on Facebook as well. I'm going to just share the screen. Select. Everyone, when you get into the room, drop a like. I would really appreciate it. Smash that like button. Why is Facebook taking so long? It's probably deciding, do we want to let this degenerate stream on this platform? Of course you do. Yeah, we're going to do a screen share. We were talking about something, Mace, that you noticed on social media. Oh, on gaming. I'm actually going to share a YouTube.
What did I notice on gaming?
Like a game, like some kind of game was endorsing
Oh
Black
yeah,
History
Age of
Month.
Empires.
Yeah,
That's Age of
what do you think about
Empires.
that?
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, not just because I wouldn't like it if it was any political issue, really, because they're a game company.
Right.
And this isn't relevant to the game. Like, shut up. But also the fact that this particular topic I find to be racist because it's discriminating. I mean, whatever way you slice it, it's either discriminating against black people or against white people. I don't want to see that either. So I have two issues with it, really.
Right. I'm gonna not mention YouTube in the description here and see if that reaches more people. It really should. Oh, cross post to a bunch of our pages.
So are we live right now?
Yeah, we're live. Aren't you on the YouTube chat?
Yeah, I knew that we were live. I just, for some reason, felt the need to ask.
What's up, Andy?
I don't know. Feeling strange.
Why are you feeling strange? What's going on?
Do you feel like the stream started earlier than it was supposed to?
A little bit, and I don't like change.
Well, this is why I said you'd be on in a half hour. I didn't want to throw you off, man.
Oh, okay, yeah. So just exclude me. Yeah, that's a solution.
Okay, I'm gonna say join, listen live on.
So, have the devs of Civilization 6 posted any racism on their Facebook page?
I mean, they will promote certain things. Like they were promoting Black Lives Matter on the.
Oh God!
Yeah, which was kind of shocking. They were promoting. There was like when you logged into the game, you see this like.
On the game itself?
In the game itself, like you go into the game because it was
terrible.
It was part of the download, the DLC.
Oh my God, that's even worse than Age of Empires. I thought posting to their Facebook page was bad, but actually putting it in the game, that's sickening.
Hey, Andy,
they
can
promote
you go...
Black Lives Matter, but their game is about civilization?
No, this was for Call of Duty. But Andy, can you jump down to the tab and get those guys to head over to the YouTube chat? Just at least have the stream open.
Trying to get rid of me, huh?
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
That's honestly boycott worthy, in my opinion. If I played that game, I would boycott them for that. I do not want to see racism. Well, unless it's a game where racism is relevant, I suppose. But I do not want to see irrelevant identity politics injected into my movies or my games.
Yeah. So,
looking at you, Last
are you
Jedi.
going to like? Would you really boycott something like that for that reason?
Yeah, definitely.
What up, Dan? Thanks for coming by. Everyone else, when you get into the room, say hello, drop a like, smash the like button for this stream. We're going to be getting into a lot of topics. Mace Starwalk, who hosts our Friday show, is hanging out with me right now. Glad to have him. Andy's just riling up the crew on Discord. We're going to be chatting with Zemo, who's our Wednesday host. The Celebration of Science and Reason tour is on sale. Go to pang-burn.com/tickets to check out tickets. We currently have Montreal, Calgary, and Vancouver on sale. That's April 12th, 13th, and 14th. We are going to be adding Ottawa and Toronto. So look forward to those dates being added. After Ottawa and Toronto, there's a good chance we'll be heading to the States after those dates. Doesn't mean that we won't get other celebrations going throughout the country. They might be a little bit smaller scale. Maybe like I will travel to some cities and we can have some like small like group discussion sessions or something like that. I think it would be fun, and it would be great for great content for the channel. Let me know what you guys say. I'm going to be doing some gaming. Civ 6 is probably my favorite game of all time. It's up there. But I'm going to be playing some Civ 6. We're going to see how good we can do on Deity. I always play on Deity, which is the hardest level against the computer engines. We'll see if we can survive. It's always a matter of getting through the first, 50 turns. I like playing on the marathon time scale as well. Dan Buckley says, "Go Convoy." What do you like about what the Convoy's doing, Dan? Are you anti all mandates? Do you Andy's got Lexicon sucking his wee wee in the voice or in the chat there.
That's homophobic.
In other words, Lexicon, where's my praise? Where's the demand for me? And what about Mace? I mean, what is he? Andy, get the fuck out of here. You're not on for another half hour. No, I'm kidding.
You can't. If you want me to leave, you'll have to make me leave.
Turn your camera on and then you can stay. Andy's got a bunch of topics we're going to be talking about today. Everyone's, get comfortable. We're going to be chilling out. It's episode 8. Lexicon just gave me a 6 out of 10. Fuck you. Yeah, so some things I wanted to just talk about off the beginning were so Ottawa has issued a state of emergency. I'd like to get is it Dan? I'd like to get Dan's take. Dan says, "I don't like woke culture messing with my Canadian Charter of Rights." Do you consider vaccine mandates woke culture? Yeah, that would be my first question for you. But anyways, let's look at what's being said in the news and see if we can decipher some of this stuff.
They do seem a little bit adjacent.
Well, I mean, like, you have to ask yourself, how do you determine what is going on in reality with regards to like viruses? We rely on virology. That's like if someone's got a better method, like I'm all ears. Okay, I want to read this first. The mayor of Ottawa has declared a state of emergency. This is an article from yesterday, which was Monday. The mayor of Ottawa has declared a state of emergency in the Canadian capital after week-long protests by truck drivers over COVID-19 restrictions that has gridlocked its city center and sparked allegations of interference in domestic affairs by groups from the U.S. The, quote, Freedom Truck Convoy began as a movement against a national vaccine requirement for truckers crossing the border from the U.S., but has turned into a rallying point against public health measures in Canada. The Ottawa mayor, Jim Watson, vowed to get, quote, the city back from protesters and said, now, is this, do you guys think this is much too hyperbolic to say, like, we got to get the city back, like he's lost the city? Like, is this fear-mongering from protesters? And said the emergency declaration highlighted the need for support from other jurisdictions and levels of government. The protesters were behaving insensitively by continuously, quote, blaring horns and sirens, setting off fireworks and turning it into a party, he said. Clearly, we are outnumbered and we are losing this battle. This was to be reversed. The state of emergency gives the city additional powers around procurement and how it delivers services, which could help it purchase equipment required by frontline workers and first responders. Protests has drawn U.S. groups. So we got a lot of people engaging in this. Do you guys think Ottawa jumped the gun by declaring a state of emergency? Obviously, when you do that, you can enact certain different policies that you can't. What up, professional name that you can't enact if you're not in a state of emergency? One of the reasons why you have that state. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Jeff says restrictions on the freedom of movement when it's not an actual emergency is a clear violation. Yes, fear-mongering at its best, says Dan. Zemo says, well, it depends on how the truckers are affecting the city pertaining, quote, getting your city back. From what I've heard, sounds a little hyperbolic. Yeah, I mean, like, if they're blocking necessary roadways and it's affecting emergency vehicles, get the fuck out of the way. Do your protest. Don't block streets. And in Vancouver, the counter-protesters were blocking roadways. Stop blocking roadways, people. Whether you're a supporter of this trucker convoy or you're anti-trucker convoy, don't block the fucking roadways. Okay? We need those for our emergency vehicles and for our policing. This is where a lot of these fines are. A lot of fines are being handed out. I saw a number, but I forget what the exact number was. But there were a lot of fines handed out. Let's see. Oh, and what about GoFundMe? So a GoFundMe campaign supporting the convoy was shut down by the site on Friday. GoFundMe said it would refund or redirect to charities the vast majority of the millions raised by demonstrators. DeSantis and other Republicans said they would investigate the site. What do you guys think of, GoFundMe? I'm sure they have policies that need to be adhered to, but I would be interested, like, what rules did the convoy break from their perspective? Let's see. GoFundMe. So now the protesters have turned to Christian crowdfunding site. Let's see now let's read something from Fox Business. GoFundMe's attack on Canada's Freedom Convoy shows dangers of big tech. They shoved a lot of buzzwords in there. Let's see. This is a let's get this.
And then go over to CNN. Racist protest.
A racist protest has rightfully lost their millions. GoFundMe's decision to remove...
None of the truckers have said this, but it can be inferred that they're all pro-rape.
GoFundMe's decision to remove the fundraiser for the trucker freedom protest in Ottawa is the latest example of big tech trying to shut down voices shunned by the left. I want to see what their justification was. I don't want to read this opinion piece. GoFundMe justification for, let's see. GoFundMe backtracks on redistributing money for Canadian truck. What is this music I'm hearing? I don't want to hear your... Okay, let's see. GoFundMe blocks $10 million in donations to Canadian Trucker Convoy. Popular crowdfunding platform GoFundMe blocked the fundraising efforts of the Canadian Trucker Convoy, preventing its receipt of $10 million in donations, claiming the movement violated its terms of service. Okay. While the anti-vaccine mandate protest started as a caravan to Ottawa, organizers have indicated that they intend for it to escalate and continue, relying on private funds to subsidize fuel, food, and lodging for truckers as they pressure Canadian leaders to end the COVID-19 restrictions. After the weekend, GoFundMe reached the conclusion that the anti-mandate campaign engaged in hateful behavior that disqualified it as a customer. Oh, okay. Following a review of relevant, here's a quote, following a review of relevant facts and multiple discussions with local law enforcement and city officials, this fundraiser is now in violation of our terms of service. GoFundMe statement said. The protesters were allegedly involved in, quote, the promotion of violence and harassment prohibited by the company's operating rules. Now here's it. Is there enough of this harassment and, the small amount of people that do, commit crimes or harass people or whatever, is there enough for GoFundMe to say that we shouldn't award this? Because what do you guys think? Mace?
I don't.
Andy?
I was actually too entertained by the YouTube chat, I'm afraid, so I wasn't really following.
Oh. Yeah. You guys make sure you drop a like and share the stream. Really helps. Jeff Lemon says, I'm just back from Ottawa, Canada. I have plenty of video and interviews. Share the truth. Do you have a way of distributing that, Jeff? If you don't, join us on Discord or actually email me, travis@pang-burn.com. Send me an email and I would be happy to analyze some of your footage and share it. John Boy says
anal in it.
The wiki page of the Convoy has links to articles trying certain organizers to more, quote, radical ideologies. Yeah. Haven't gone too far down the rabbit hole yet. Okay. Lexicon says GoFundMe was pressured by the government to remove the funding. They have also seized the bank accounts of the people who were handing out collected funds. Interesting. Interesting. Well, we're going to keep an eye on this. Andy, do you want to do some updating on what's going on in the chat? You're involved there, right?
I'm mostly focusing on what I'm doing, but yeah.
What are you doing?
I said Travis just said analyze that has anal in it.
Jesus Christ! You're fucking fired. You're fired. I'm gonna play some Civ while Andy does the up. I want to hear what people are saying in the chat here, Andy.
Okay, so let's see. How far up should I scroll?
And don't just read your bullshit, please.
We can skip my stuff.
By the way, we are going to be competing as the Gaelics, everyone, on Deity. We're going to go marathon play, and we'll do random.
Professional name makes an interesting point. Don't know if this is true or not, but it sounds true.
Right.
It's definitely... I mean, it would fit the tone of recent news articles that I've read regarding BLM anyway. GoFundMe has provided service for violent criminals that BLM rallied for. I'd have to look up the specific cases, though, can't remember.
I
wouldn't be surprised if BLM is selectively supporting... if BLM would be willing to waive certain guidelines in favor.
Hold that thought, Mace. Jack just pointed out something important. Gaelic has the sound gay in it.
Sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if GoFundMe was willing to waive certain guidelines in favor of BLM, but not for other people that use the platform.
Yeah, that would be something interesting to look into. Because of course, like before BLM upgraded their website, which maybe this had something to do with it, through platforms like GoFundMe. Once if they upgraded their website, of course GoFundMe is not going to have anything that they can point to. But before that, I think GoFundMe could make an easy argument that BLM was a hate group essentially.
It is.
But again, we have to recognize that BLM has taken some steps to change their language, which I think is good.
Yeah, but man,
Yeah, but what?
The money that is donated to them is doing what exactly, though?
To BLM? That's
Yeah.
a good. I'm sure they have that on their website. Maybe pull that up and see. But we should investigate. We should investigate this. I want to know.
The gist of it is basically, and obviously they don't say it in these words, but if you donate money to them, they use it to get people out of jail for committing crimes in the name of.
So
BLM.
Antifa, you know what? Antifa does the same thing with a fund that they collect. It's almost primarily used, like they have an international Antifa fund that's pretty much solely used to bail people out of prison.
Yeah, that's basically what the BLM fund is. It's lining people's pockets and bailing out criminals.
Can't we just obey the fucking law? Like when we do these demonstrations, when we create groups that we want to be out there doing good things and making strong arguments about certain causes. If you break the law while doing this, you have shown that your arguments are not good enough on their own. Like, make better arguments. Don't break more laws. And this goes for anyone who's involved in trucker convoy, BLM, Antifa, any of these groups. Stop breaking the fucking law.
Yeah, to quote a great movie, Liar, Liar. Stop breaking the law, asshole.
Tim West says sometimes breaking the law is needed. Yeah, when there is no process left for you to be able to express your idea, but Western democracy allows for that expression. It allows for you to democratically go through the system and lobby for new legislation and to peacefully protest, all of that. There's a lot of people throw that around so loosely, like, oh yeah, sometimes we have to break the law. Sometimes it's necessary. It's like, yeah, I want to hear when you think that is. Because for me, it's if the system allows you a legal process at which to navigate through to have your voice heard and to share your ideas, then that's fine. If that goes away, sure, you can start making arguments for revolutions, right? And look, there are some places around the world where based on my moral foundation, you could justify this. Well, we got a nice
examples?
Early tribal village. Sorry, go ahead, Mace.
Could you give us an example?
Well, I mean, what about these specific countries? And I want to see, because this stuff is getting updated very rapidly. But
hang on, actually, before you say something,
illegal
let me
against the
guess.
law.
Is it an Eastern country?
St. Lucia. St. Lucia, you can be thrown in prison, thrown in jail for being homosexual. Is this justification for a revolution? If I lived there, I would want to know, okay, what process is there? A process that allows me to go about lobbying within the law to have this law changed? I would use those. I would use that if that was available to me, and it would become a primary focus of mine. Would it get to a point where I would feel that some kind of like violent revolution was necessary? For that issue, probably not. What I would actually promote before that is people leaving the country, like go seek a life of happiness elsewhere, because you can't be free here. But of
St.
course,
Lucia is a Caribbean country.
Yeah.
Isn't the Caribbean part of the United States, or am I thinking of
No.
Hawaii?
No, you're thinking of
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay. Who
Travis,
owns the Caribbean?
Zemo brings up a good point. You saying don't break the law is just a symptom of your white privilege, and that even though there are legal processes, that reform takes so long, it's effectively corrupted by the white man's bureaucracy.
I'm waiting for the.
And I think this is a very important point that a lot of people don't understand.
I'm waiting for the good point. If Zemo did say that, I'm not looking at the chat. Then I of course disagree.
No, I was just doing Don on the
Is ZMO being?
I highly doubt he's serious.
Obey the fucking law.
Yeah, I think he's being sarcastic.
In most cases, it's probably safe to obey the law.
It's yeah. I mean, you know, someone could give me an argument for when they would actually feel like they had to break the law and that it was necessary. I'm happy to hear that argument. But it's like obey the law, obey the orders of police, all this stuff, you know, that children should be taught.
We got an interesting person in the chat, Dominic. BLM and Antifa are social movements with actual grievances. The anti-vax / mandate folks have nothing but conspiracy theories and ignorance driving them.
What do you guys think of that?
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree.
You guys, make sure you drop a like. I'm playing some Civ 6 here. We're gonna try and survive on deity, see how far we can get. We got Mace, Starwalk, and Andy in the room with us. Andy still hasn't turned on his camera yet because he's a pussy. I'm gonna continue playing some Civ. And we're going to be reading your guys' comments. We're going to get into some topics, specific topics in a bit. We're going to be joined by Zemo a little bit later. And is Doolittle coming in too as well, Andy?
I think he might have been the backup guest, but he was busy, so I figured maybe he wouldn't make it. Maybe he would. But if he can make it, he should come. Yeah.
Cool.
He's watching because he commented earlier.
If all of the admins who are in the chat, if you could please drop the Discord link once in a while, that would be great. I think we got John Boy in there. I think Jack. I'm Jack. I'm giving Jack the moderator capabilities as well. Jack, you're now a mod.
Here's a comment that Lexicon really wants me to read. What level of coercion does that start, Trav? Because they're shutting down a protest by stealing fuel so people at the protest freeze to death or leave.
So that's a good question. Like, at what point? Okay, during a state of emergency, peaceful protests can be shut down. People have to understand this. So a state of emergency has been declared in Ottawa. And I don't know what they've said. I don't know if they've officially said, like, you know, you're not allowed to protest right now because we're in a state of emergency. If that's the case, you have to follow the rules. If you don't like those rules, you have to work within the law of the land to fix what you don't like within the law of the land. So get at it. Get out there lobbying, run for office. Pay attention to what's going on in your local municipality. I should have won that fight. Fuck.
Andy, we had a comment here from Tim West. What happened to the cool kid with the glasses?
Andy, just turn your camera on.
I replied and said he's feeling bashful, but okay, if you insist, I guess because you're bullying me, yeah. I will now turn my camera on.
Yeah, good. See, kids, bullying works.
You must have the glasses, though.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second.
Yeah, if those glasses aren't on, you're fucking fired for like the 10th time.
You just have like a borderline fetish for these glasses.
I think people just have a fetish for what you're going to say next.
You're a great boss, constantly threatening to fire
exactly.
your employees.
That's it. That's all I do. If you go and get information about me on Reddit, it's all about like how I'm this nutcase.
I mean, say what you will about Travis. He's like, he doesn't. Technically, I'm like his sidekick on the show, but he doesn't like force me to agree with him or anything.
Of course not. You're here to disagree with me, Andy. You know that famous song on Spotify written by the Travis Pangburn? I remember the days.
Never heard of it. Yeah, we got Brittany in the chat, who I imagine
Nice.
is the same as Brit M on Discord. Hi, Brittany.
Hey, Britt. I always like hearing Brittany's take.
I love her so much.
She's the
great.
GOAT. Can we be honest? Brittany's the GOAT. What is the GOAT, by the way? Greatest of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brit's the GOAT.
Well, are you going to answer her question?
What was the question? You guys have to read it to me because I got the game open here.
Sorry.
What boxes need to... Oh, you can go.
What boxes need to be ticked before a government is deemed totalitarian?
That's a good question. Why don't you guys take it first, and then I'll answer after. What do you guys think?
Crap.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you just piggyback off my answer.
Yeah, so I know what to disagree with. Well, we could probably work fairly well within the definition, but Mace doesn't like it when I use definitions.
I love definitions. What are you talking about?
Well, I feel like it still would be the lazy method, but
You're talking to convince me otherwise here.
I guess totalitarian would be forceful suppression of ideas by the government onto the citizen, or an attempt to strip away rights and remove the citizen's ability to have any effect on the government, something like that.
Totalitarians, really, I don't think that's a word that I ever use. Not hugely familiar with what it means.
Which is really ironic, because that's what you are as a British man.
Well, anyway, since it's not a word that I use, I'm fine to just accept whatever definition I find at face value. Google definition is a system of government that is centralized and dictatorial and requires complete subservience to the state. I'm willing to accept that. I don't have any reason not to.
It's way too hot to wear this.
Yeah, I mean, authoritarianism. Well, let's look at.
I think it was totalitarian. Did she say totalitarian? Yeah.
Totalitarian. Yeah.
I have to reopen this game. It just crashed.
I don't think I like either of them, though. That's just my take, personally.
Don't like either of what?
Totalitarian or authoritarian. I don't think I like either of them.
Yeah, but you guys have to understand that you probably like some versions of authoritarianism, right?
Sure.
Such as the police force, such as you can think of the importance of tax collection so that you don't have you're not living in like a shit country, right? With shit literally everywhere.
Well, to be frank with you, Travis, I'm even less sure on what the word authoritarian actually means. So.
Yeah, well, it's just like, I mean, let's talk about what authority is. Having authority over something. Like, what about authoritarianism when it comes to parents over their children, right?
Well, there's limits.
We have
for even
limits.
that, too. That's why we have social services.
Yeah, I'm saying we live in a system, in a democracy. We live in the system. We live in a system that has authority built into it.
So the first definition I could find, the essential meaning, is expecting or requiring people to obey rules or laws, not allowing personal freedom. So that seems like kind of a bad definition.
Isn't that the... Yeah, but by definition, a rule or law doesn't allow personal freedom. That's how rules work.
I don't know. Maybe the difference would be... under an authoritarian regime, you can't protest or like lobby to get a law changed, maybe. But
No, that would be so. From what I can tell, it seems authoritarian is when you have to strictly obey the laws, and then
well, yeah,
totalitarianism is when the government has complete control over everything. So in
Merriam has
totalitarianism, you wouldn't be allowed to protest, but in authoritarianism, you can protest as
Right.
long as you're obeying the rules while you do it.
Yeah, but you can't. So if you're having a state of emergency, right, you can't protest. Like, for instance, when we were in lockdown, you can't have a peaceful protest, I'm pretty sure.
Unless you're BLM.
Unless you're BLM. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Smash buildings. What are you doing? Where are you going with that TV? Black Lives Matter. Oh, okay.
All I saw was the essential definition. Sorry, Merriam-Webster, since 1828, has a weird layout. The full definition, I don't know why they wouldn't just start with that. One, of relating to or favoring blind submission to authority. So that would be a bad thing, right? Two, of relating to or favoring a concentration of power in a leader or an elite not constitutionally responsible to the people. There we would definitely have problems, right?
I think my problem is with the extremity of that description, because I believe authority should be, well, let me clarify that. Legitimate authority should be recognized. But
hey, Bal,
it's not ideal if people are blindly following it. You want people to think about it and confirm that it is legitimate first.
What do you guys think of this Caitlyn Bennett? What do you think of this Caitlyn Bennett girl? She's like the gun girl. She, I think she's put out some really interesting content when she's covering some of these demonstrations that she covers. I think she, what's her Liberty something? She runs. I think some of her content's interesting. I think she's considered like a hardcore right wing personality.
I've never heard of her, but
Caitlyn
she has
Bennett.
nice hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, she's pretty cute. Actually, I have to say.
I used to be sort of a fan of hers back during my right wing days.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen any of her stuff lately, and I probably wouldn't agree with as much stuff as I used to. But
Right.
as a general rule, I feel like she's probably not as much of a monster as people who detract from her might try and say.
Right. Anyone who lives up in Canada or can get up to Canada, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, make sure you come out to Celebration of Science and Reason.
I've just found a picture of her.
What's that?
Wearing a t-shirt. I just found a picture of her wearing a t-shirt. It says "Gun rights are women's rights." Kind of cringe.
Is that cringe?
Every woman should carry a gun. I mean, successful rapes will go down like that.
Andy,
successful murders would go up like that.
Andy, do you carry a gun? Because how hard would it be to rape you?
You could probably guess that just by looking at me. As for the gun thing, I will not confirm nor deny that.
Okay.
By that logic,
in the chat is just grilling my balls. 100 people left since Andy turned the cam on. I don't even know how many people were here at the first place, Grumbler.
By the way, there's 220 of you. Let's get some more likes dropping.
By your logic, Andy, rather than giving every woman a gun, you could just give every woman a pair of dorky glasses, and then rapes would go down like that. So,
is that supposed to be an insult? I generally wouldn't want to get raped. So if these somehow prevent me from getting raped, then that's cool.
Yeah, but obviously, to be a little bit serious, we don't. There are people out there that go to that level of well, if the person wasn't wearing such hot, if they didn't look so hot, maybe our girls should err on the side of that if they don't want this kind of attention. which is, I think, the wrong way to deal with an issue like that.
Yeah, it's really messed up when people do that.
When people go out looking hot, yeah, I agree. Out of order. Oh,
You're evil, Mace.
God damn it! Take that makeup off.
Is that even
Put
allowed
clothes on.
in England? Aren't women supposed to wear huge Elizabethan era dresses or whatever?
Yeah.
It's old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
Tradition. You don't know anything about it, you damn American.
What's been going on? What are some conversations that you guys have been hearing in the Discord recently?
I absolutely love a new... I'm not sure if it would be appropriate to name drop somebody, because maybe they don't want their username out there.
You can say someone's name on Discord on here. That's fine.
Okay, well, I really love our new person, Sariel.
Yeah,
Sariel,
she's great, man.
If you're watching, you've from the moment I heard you talk, you've struck me as a brilliant, brilliant person.
Yeah. I actually, right when you came into the Discord and I heard you talking, what's her name again? Sariel?
Sariel.
Yeah, once I heard you talking, I actually made a mention to all of our administrators that we have a real gem that's joined the Discord server. So I hope you do stick around. Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing what you had to say. So
Professional name has posted an interesting points.
yeah.
Blaming clothing doesn't hold water. But I know this girl who constantly gives attention to creepy weirdos, and she's been sexually assaulted 3 times now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, you need to have your wits about you, and it's not only women. Like there's like you should be worried about. Well, here's the like how rare that is, and if it's happening to someone, you might want to look into like, yeah, the kind of man you're looking for. But of course, you're not going to be able to like necessarily tell if someone's capable of assaulting you, right? That's the problem.
Ideally, we don't have to worry about this kind of crap, but that's not the world we live in. So we need to exercise some kind of caution and realize that we are not absolutely safe in every situation.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone goes out there thinking that they're absolutely safe in any of these situations. Like, I think there's way less like just head in the clouds people than a lot of people think. Like some people will be like, oh, you have your head in the clouds because you met up with a dude who you just met on Tinder and you didn't know anything about them. It's like, yeah, a lot of people do that, and not everyone, like, people understand the risks of this, right?
Well,
I think I agree, but it is strange that the same person would be sexually assaulted 3 times, because as you said, that's quite a rare offense.
Yeah, but we need to look at why this happened in each of those cases. Like, what was the actual offense? What were the situations leading up to it? Like, we need more information to before we can go to like, oh, it's something wrong with what she's doing, right?
He was also at a big university in a big town, Austin, Texas, which I hear have sexual assault rates higher than other parts of society.
Well, we should see if we can verify that. I know that that's a common platitude that gets thrown around, but these are like rape and assault. Like these are rare things, and again, it's a platitude to say like they're not rare. But
there are. I have heard that there are like some places, like some weird pockets where for some reason rape at the very least just keeps getting reported. So
yeah,
that's probably a unique environment, I guess, but I don't know.
Rumler, why is there no death penalty for rapists and child molesters? That's actually not that specific death penalty, but death penalty in general is going to be an upcoming convince me otherwise segment. I'm personally against death penalty.
Yeah, I am also against death penalty. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. I only believe using deadly force in very specific emergency situations.
Oh, of course. Yeah, deadly use of force is necessary. I think.
But the death penalty, I really don't
that's
like.
just, we have the person locked up,
They're helpless, basically.
and we've taken away, we've mitigated the threat. We've taken away the threat, and we have them locked up. I think it's important for us to continue to maximize the well-being of those people, even if they had been dealt a terrible hand of cards that led them to committing whatever crime they committed, right? Whoever asked that question, it's like what we understand about, say, pedophiles is that, these are deeply rooted disorders of the mind. Disorders of the mind based on our particular value judgments, right? Of course, if you're a moral subjectivist like I am, you don't believe that anything is objectively wrong, right? If you're going to claim that something is objectively wrong, you have to show me the object you are measuring to tell you this. And then if you point to something like a holy book that is claimed to be divinely inspired and from a god, then I'm going to say, well, can you demonstrate that this is actually divinely inspired and it's actually the objective? Like, it gets, the work is not done if you present a holy book. It's only just begun, right?
I don't think that explanation is going to convince Grumbler. Correct me if I'm wrong, Grumbler, but it seems to me that this person is not concerned with the morality of executing someone. They actually don't seem to care about the perpetrator at all. They're completely concerned about justice for the victim.
Well, and another thing I would ask Grumbler is, what do you think it's morally sound to allow a victim to dictate the outcome for someone who has done a crime against them? Because a lot of people who've been victimized say that, no, I don't want this person put to death. It's against my moral foundation.
Well, sometimes they don't want any repercussions at all, which is why it's a bad idea to put the victim in charge of that, because I'm sorry, but you need repercussions of some degree. Rapists tend to keep raping.
Yeah, you need to have penalty. That's I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. But we need to when we're thinking about, like, from my moral foundation, like, if I want to maximize well-being for myself and those around me, I cannot. People who have shown that they cannot control the immoral pleasure drifts that pop up in their mind, they actualize and have them harm others' well-being, because that tends to be what our laws are based upon. They can't control it. They are a potential threat that needs to be dealt with.
Rumler, I agree that 3 years is not long enough, and I would even go as far as to say that a rapist should be in prison for the rest of their life. Yeah.
I think my reasoning would probably be more convincing to Grumbler, because I too don't give two shits about the perpetrator. I care more about the victims as well, but I'm still against death penalty because I think that's worse for potential victims, because if you think about it from the point of view of the rapist, once he's raped this person, we have to give him an incentive, or her. We have to give that person an incentive not to finish the job by killing the victim.
Okay, wait a minute.
If they're going to be executed for the rape, why not just kill the victim and, kill the witness at the same time? By removing the prospect of execution, we are incentivizing the perpetrator to allow the victim to live. And
I agree that
preventing crimes from becoming even worse.
I agree that we shouldn't execute the rapist, but I don't agree with that reasoning, because I don't think every would-be rapist or rapist is also a would-be killer.
You guys are
But
talking
they
about.
would.
Hang on a sec. You guys are talking about Robert Sapolsky in the chat. He is awesome. His lectures are great. Everyone who's hanging out with us, I'm playing Civ 6 right now. We're chatting with Andy and Mace. Please remember to drop a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This show happens twice a week, and then we have other shows happening on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over at our other channel, which is the Pangburn Offensive. Just search the Pangburn Offensive, and you'll find our other channel where we do conversations that, toe the line of maybe getting the conversations we might get a strike from YouTube for hosting. So, make sure you're subscribed over there.
We're not scared of you, YouTube.
Dan Buckley said, Travis, did you like Peterson Harris 5 yesterday? Yeah, I got about 25% through it. I still have a ways to go, but I do suggest everyone go and check that out. It's interesting. Funny, those guys, forgot to mention Pangburn. They kind of just out of the side of their mouth said promoter.
Everybody always forgets to mention you, Travis.
So, yeah, whatever. But yeah.
So, Andy, I'd like to ask you a question. So, if you've just committed a crime and there is a witness to this crime, and this crime is worthy of the death penalty, what's the logical thing for you to do with that witness? Let them go or kill them?
Well, unfortunately, and I really want this to change, and I'm not sure how we can get this to change, but if somebody rapes someone, a lot of times the victim does not go forward.
I know, but
also,
if you kill someone, a lot of the times the victim doesn't go forward.
So Andy, what are you basing that on? That is another, so we do have a lot of people who claim that. What informs that belief you have?
Well, it doesn't matter whether his belief is true or not, because a dead person is definitely not.
No. But I think that's an important point to look at, because a lot of people do claim that, oftentimes without evidence. They drop the platitude that, like, do you know how many people don't report their rape? Rape is like, basically people are saying that rape is much more common than what the reporting shows.
I don't think it's much more common, not by much, but people who do get raped do have a hesitancy to report it to legal authorities. And I think people who know people who've gotten raped can attest to that.
Yeah, like definitely for some people that would be the case. But when we say it's like rampant or a lot, I just wonder, like, how would we demonstrate that? How would we demonstrate that to an empiricist?
My point is, I just think that a killer's mind is not necessarily the same as a rapist's mind. Like, somebody might have this.
Definitely.
My point is that it would be logical for a rapist to kill the victim if you put a death sentence towards rape.
It also would have been logical for them not to rape at all.
Yeah, so I know. But once they're in that position, and they now have to be put to death, they have no choice but to kill the victim, because that's their best chance of surviving.
Look, I'm not saying don't lock up the rapist and not execute them. I'm saying send the rapist away for life. Don't execute them. I agree with that. I just am skeptical of the idea that for every rapist it would be easy as, well, I already did this horrible, awful thing. Let me do a thing of another caliber that's awful. I really don't think it's that simple.
It is, though, because they have to kill the victim to survive. That's their best chance of not being executed. So to them, it's not, I'm doing an awful thing. To them, it's, I'm protecting myself. I have to kill you. I'm sorry. This is the way it has to be.
Yeah, you know what, Mace? You might be right. I don't care, because it's taking us to the same conclusion.
Which is?
No death penalty for rapists. Isn't that what
Right. So I think all of us agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for Grumbler,
Well,
potentially.
Grumler, my other question is: do you believe that reality is determined? And if you do, you would believe that that person, the difference between that person who has committed the rape and you, is that you just were lucky enough to roll a different set of dice that didn't have you ending up doing that rape, right? But if you believe in free will, which I don't think you should, because it's never been demonstrated that we have free will, then of course you could make a different argument. But
Travis, if
Right.
reality is determined, what use is it to use saying anything to him to convince him otherwise?
only that we get to watch this cinema play out, including what comes out of our own mouths.
I don't know what that means.
There's from a deterministic perspective, there is, it's loopy, it's goofy for us to even be having this
Are you saying that
conversation.
do you believe in destiny?
Well, I mean, I guess what do you mean by destiny?
As in, you think that this rapist was destined to commit that rape?
They were determined to, yeah, by the laws of physics. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you demonstrate the existence of destiny?
Well, I would say determinism. Destiny is a little bit. I think destiny kind of falls more on the line of fatism and like predeterminism, because there's a lot of computations that could go different ways than the way that they actually turn out. But it's still determined to turn out that way in our system. But yeah, I don't know about this destiny term. It's not a term I use.
It's the same thing, Travis. It's the same concept, but it's veiled in a different way.
No, I think destiny is more in line with predeterminism. Like if you had a crystal ball that worked, you wouldn't be able to see the actual determined outcome. But in predeterminism, in this destiny or fatism, you that's an idea that where if you had a working crystal ball, you would be able to see the future of how things are going to be. But that's not the way determinism works. Okay, where do we want to put that guy? We're going to put him right here.
You could lock someone up for the safety of others, but you don't need to kill them. Yeah, that's my basic view on that, John Boy.
Jeffrey Doolittle says Travis is essentially blaming God for the rape. Yes.
Grumler has
God
some
exists.
issue with your philosophy there. He or she, I don't know what the gender is, but Grumler says, I know your argument, Travis, and this leads to nobody getting locked up because you say it isn't their fault.
Nope.
And then
So this is why we must act as though we do have free will.
Why?
For that very reason why that Grumler just brought up. We must act as though we have free will, or else, yeah, you're right. Our own ideologies would look at someone who did something wrong and be like, nothing they could have done, and just keep walking by. And what would that do to a social species? Do you think? What would the outcome be? I think it's
it would do whatever it was meant to do.
It's determined. What do you mean? Why even have any level of concern for anything?
Hey, if you guys want to demonstrate,
why not just jump off a cliff?
If you guys want to demonstrate, yeah, people do go jump off a cliff, and people do it. I would argue for the pleasure of doing so, but if you want to demonstrate free will, here's what you have to do. You have to show where our free will comes in and gets in the way and disrupts the cause and effect preceding it. That's never been demonstrated. So you have to demonstrate that.
I could give you an example of how that.
What do you mean? Hold on, Andy. What do you mean? What am I talking about? Can you point to an effect that has been caused by this idea of free will that we have and wasn't caused by a previous physical computation that happened before it?
Everything you're doing right now, everything you're saying, you're choosing it.
Really?
Yes.
That is antithetical to everything we know about neuroscience and what is going on in the brain. So you need to read more about the process.
If neuroscience is telling us, no, you don't actually make decisions, then that's stupid.
Yes, thoughts and decisions happen to you. We are not dictating them. This is what neuroscience is telling us.
Is it bothering you that I'm disagreeing with you about this?
That you're what?
Does it bother you that I'm disagreeing? Because it shouldn't, because the Big Bang is making me do this. I have no control over my actions. Me doesn't even exist, Travis.
You're running away from it. But do a basic.
I'm coming to the logical conclusion.
Andy, do a basic reading.
That responsibility doesn't matter because it's fake.
No, that's wrong. That's only if you dispose of the illusion of free will, which I say you cannot. You just
because it exists.
You want to believe in as many true things and as few false things as possible.
I'm not just going to believe that free will exists. And when we look into neuroscience in the cause and effect nature of how thoughts come to be, we understand thoughts are happening to us. In that thoughts are happening to our biological formation. They're not coming from some mystical place where we just have this free will to decide what our next thought will be. That's not how brain function is creating thoughts. It just isn't.
Proclaiming themselves wise, they became fools. Look, as long as this doesn't influence you and cause you to be like, oh, who cares? Then doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah, Tim West says the brain makes the decision before you think it, according to neuroscience. That is correct.
In order for me to demonstrate that free will does exist, would I have to be able to exercise my free will on something other than myself? So for example, just will something to happen without physically getting my body involved.
So you would have to show that something so you would have to show that free will is somewhere first, and that it's a thing that can change the previously determined outcome based on the computations that happened before it. So you have to find a way to get you're essentially stopping the deterministic causal chain of events that was started at the moment of the Big Bang. You're stopping it and changing it with this thing we call free will that we've hypothesized.
So are you basically referring to telekinetic powers?
Not necessarily, because telekinetic powers could be part of the deterministic causal chain of events if that was what was going on in reality. It's not like that at all. It's try to find a way to escape. Okay, so the words I'm using right now, try to find a way to stop and disrupt the computations that are leading to this in my mind. Not what you hear coming out of me, but the process that is triggering my next thought or the next motor function I have holding my hand this way. You have to find a way to stop the deterministic causal chain of events. And the problem with that is that even your attempts to do that are part of the deterministic causal chain of events. So trying to escape determinism it seems impossible.
Travis, if we're supposed to operate within the illusion of free will, then what good is it even knowing that the universe is deterministic, assuming you're right about this?
Because We want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. The free will model does not fit within our understanding of how minds work. It just doesn't fit. So we ought not believe something if we cannot demonstrate it. That's my point.
If we're acting as though that's how it works, what difference does it make?
What difference does it make? I mean, if we want to build future medicine and technologies and improve our clinical psychological models and things like that, and if we're working under this assumption that like people have the free will to change, that's going to affect things. But the funny thing about that is that even our journey to trying to sort that out, to getting ahead of the subject before they're affected by something, we're still just playing in the game of determined reality. So the question is, well, what's the point? What's the point of all this? This is a fundamental question everyone always wants to ask. It seems to be pleasure. We play in this illusion of free will for the pleasure of doing so. It's the best answer I can give. Because and some people choose to end the game.
Jeffrey D'Amatos, who I think is Doolittle.
It is
right?
Doolittle. Yeah.
Yeah. As a question, why do you feel free to claim the absence of free will when you can't demonstrate or calculate the causal chain of events?
The burden of proof. The burden of proof is on the person claiming that free will exists. We must hold to that standard.
Isn't free will an observation, though?
I don't even agree with the deterministic argument, but I think to put it in a way that anyone could understand, it's basically the domino effect. You're saying,
yeah, I highly suggest
everything that happens is a result of what happened before it, making that happen.
It's a cause and effect argument, and I highly suggest people to go to Sabine Hossenfelder's channel and look at her video on why things are determined, and she talks a little bit about what you would need to attempt to escape the deterministic causal chain of events. Because again, even if you create a time machine, right? The time machine is operating within that causal chain of events, right?
The burden is on the person making a claim. You are claiming free will does not exist, which is practically impossible to prove.
No, I do not claim that. I do not claim that.
Both sides are claiming something.
Listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. Free will has not been demonstrated to exist. Determinism is this idea that, like, okay, the Big Bang happened and all of these computations happened following that causal chain of events. And there's nothing that we can find so far that we've hypothesized as free will that can get either the way you want to look at it, behind or in front of determinism, and change the outcome based on our will. As much as we want our will to change something, the thoughts and everything we have emerging in our mind are happening to us from our biology and our relationship with our sense-making apparatus and environment. So it's I've adopted no burden of proof with regards to free will. It simply just hasn't been demonstrated yet.
Okay, but when you make
we have good evidence,
hasn't been demonstrated,
and we have
aren't you implying something?
We have good evidence that, because all we need is to be shown where this can occur, where the deterministic causal chain of events, the computations that are happening in our reality, where they can be stopped or interrupted or changed based on this idea of our will doing that. We just don't have anything like that. We have no demonstration of that. But the door is always open for that to be demonstrated. But the more we look into the brain, the physiological aspects of the brain, we see spooky things like thoughts happen to us. We don't just like, come up with them, but we have this illusion that we have.
Why doesn't the study of psychology provide evidence for you that free will does exist?
Why doesn't the study of psychology prove that it does exist? Because what the psychologist says or what the medicine does to the person is part of that causal chain of events. It's still trapped within that.
Isn't the purpose of psychology to help someone turn their life around?
Within the illusion of free will.
So they make different choices and better things happen as a result.
Within the illusion of free will, yes, this is the goal. So that they can make choices that other choices that they wouldn't have made. So that's still part of the deterministic causal chain of events. But the idea to say that, now that they have this information, they can make different decisions in the future. We don't make decisions anyway.
Yeah, how silly. Well, where would we have ever gotten that idea?
I know it seems that way, but we just can't demonstrate it.
Yeah, but everyone who's
Why
ever
should
been
we have
saved
to demonstrate something that everyone is experiencing every single day?
It's an illusion. The free will aspect is an illusion.
How convenient. It's an illusion. Ooh. Man.
I was going to say, how come everyone who's ever been saved with therapy isn't a demonstration that this illusion is true? But I suppose what you're going to say is that because that was predetermined to happen, right?
Well, don't confuse predeterminism with determinism.
Determined to happen. So
yeah.
I don't really understand the difference there, but. I thought the domino effect was predeterminism, because as soon as I push the first domino, the domino at the end of the chain is predetermined to fall over. Right?
We see the problem is the domino at the end of the chain is one of two dominoes. There's actually two dominoes there because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. That's what quantum mechanics has shown us. That's the that's one of the reasons why we could not make a perfect, as far as what we understand now, we couldn't make a fortune telling machine that gave us the right answer of what will happen. We would get this fork of like two possible outcomes per computation.
I mean, I could tell you what's going to happen if I saw a line of dominoes and they were slowly falling over.
Yeah, but the problem is you have to imagine.
But lightning could strike one of the dominoes.
You have to imagine that like with every domino strike, it could go right or left. That's what you have to imagine.
Doesn't that ignore what's it called? Entropy.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you this. No, it doesn't. Just so we can be clear, Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
Dao says, my concept of free will doesn't relate to the cause of an effect, but rather the ability to learn and grow from past events.
Yeah, and that's fine. That would be a different. That would not be the colloquial free will. That's if someone wants to talk about free will in that sense, that's talking about the things that are happening within the illusion of our experience, and that's completely. There's nothing wrong with that. So the principle, also called Heisenberg uncertainty principle or indeterminacy principle statement, articulated by German physicist Werner Heisenberg, that the position and the velocity of an object can both be measured exactly at the same time. It can be measured cannot be measured exactly at the same time, even in theory. The very concepts of exact position and exact velocity together, in fact, have no meaning in nature. So ordinary experience provides no clue of this principle. It is easy to measure both the position and the velocity of, say, an automobile, because the uncertainties apply by this principle for ordinary objects are too small to be observed. The complete rule stipulates that the product of the uncertainties in position and velocity is equal to or greater than a tiny physical quantity or constant, and then they have the mathematical constant, where h is Planck's constant. Only for the exceedingly small masses of atoms and subatomic particles does the product of the uncertainties become significant. Any attempt to measure precisely the velocity of a subatomic particle, such as an electron, will knock it about in an unpredictable way, so that a simultaneous measurement of its position has no validity. This result has nothing to do with inadequacies in the measuring instruments, the technique, or the observer. It arises out of the intimate connection in nature between particles and waves in the realm of subatomic dimensions. So the stuff gets pretty thick, but yeah,
I think that is a useful model to use, but I don't think that I agree with that entirely. Like with regards to the electron, rather than it being literally everywhere at once until you measure its location, I think it would be more accurate to say it's just moving so fast that it may as well be everywhere at once, as far as we're concerned as humans, and the time scale we work with.
I mean, is that your hypothesis, or?
That's my hypothesis, I suppose.
Okay. All right, we got 2 cities down. We're going to try invading the Sumerians here. We are playing as the Gaelics.
Gaelics, of course you'd play as them, Travis.
And we founded this city, Ratuma Kos, on this Pamukale. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of world wonder. What's going on in the chat, guys?
Sorry for getting so heated, by the way, Travis.
What?
When did you get heated?
When did you get heated? If that was heated, like...
Okay, well, I guess nobody...
We need some steroids for Andy.
I guess if nobody noticed, I'll just deny it.
That's really embarrassing. Sorry for getting really angry. Well, when you get angry.
Sorry for getting heated there, guys. Like, God.
I'm not trying to disprove anything, professional name.
What's going on in the chat? You guys have gotten quiet. Is that because we got a lot of people agreeing with me, or what?
No, it's unclear, honestly. But everybody keeps using big words. I don't understand.
Oh. Well, Andy, what's on your mind today? Do you got some news updates for us? We could get into those. Andy is the best, you guys. Give it up to Andy. Like, come on. Like,
I don't know about that.
The guy comes on here with 2 very big brass balls and goes, head to head.
Bale Diablo says, always agree with Travis.
I know Bale Diablo doesn't. He's always trolling in the videos. I do enjoy his comments.
Okay, so I got this from SciTech Daily.
Yeah.
Mars Curiosity rover, you'll love this, Mace, sees a strong carbon signature in a bed of rocks could indicate biological activity. So carbon, as we know, is essential to the variety of life at least we on Earth have experienced so far. So a strong carbon signal on Mars, or anywhere, is seen as potentially a sign for life. So the Curiosity rover has been searching for such life in Mars's Gale crater, and it does this by drilling into rocks and placing the samples onto its built-in chemistry laboratory. And
why are you assuming that life on Mars would be carbon-based?
based on what we've seen. But they address that later
But
on.
we've only seen life on Earth, though.
I already said that, and if you could contain yourself, you would hear that being addressed. Douche. This lab is called
Oh, Andy.
I'm just kidding. So this is called the sample analysis. Creative, I know. The sample analysis at Mars, SAM, and it uses pyrolysis to cook the sample and convert any carbon into methane. And then it probes the gas with its tunable laser spectrometer to find out what kinds of carbon isotopes are in the methane.
How does it turn carbon into methane?
Oh, yes, another question from Mace. Everybody, hold on.
You can't just take pure carbon and then turn it into something else. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, let me go back and read what I said again.
Sounded like you were saying, yeah, we took the carbon and then we just magicked it into something else.
Okay, I didn't write this article. So if you have a problem, go to them. Let's see. So the rover was gathering samples, and they used a process called pyrolysis to cook the samples, the rock samples, and convert any carbon into methane.
I feel like they're missing something there.
It's pyrolysis. Anyway. Look, I'm sure they don't just point at the rocks and say the word pyrolysis and then it happens. I'm sure there's a process involved there, Mace.
I don't know how that. I'm not familiar with that process. Sounds like they must be adding something. What's methane made of again? Was it is there hydrogen in methane? I think there. Yeah, it's a hydrocarbon. Yeah, they must be adding hydrogen to it.
Yeah,
carry on anyway.
By the way, Dan, you're so right there. Dan says we don't need to have to go into Hilbert space to disprove free will. Yeah, and I'm not saying like that we've necessarily like demonstrated that free will can't be the case, but you know it you know, we just have there's no demonstration thus far.
Yeah, I agree, Jack. I think Mace is like trying to imply that I made this whole article up, like made the source up, made all the details up.
Andy's just making shit up.
This is not skepticism, Travis. This is cynicism right here. Okay.
Why do you say me? I've just been listening. I'm trying to hear the science article, and then we got
You're providing a platform
Mr. Britain
for this offensive British man.
Oh my God.
What did I do?
You're a science denier, Mace.
I am not a science denier.
All right. So it probes the gas with its tunable laser spectrometer to find out what kinds of carbon isotopes are in the methane. Mace, shut up. The team behind this observed 24 rock samples with this process, and 6 among these 24 showed high levels of C12 and C13, with C12 being the preferred basis for life because it's easier than the others and life is essentially lazy. Now, I know that's a very colloquial wording choice on the part of the people who wrote the article, not me, Mace. So if you're going to criticize anyone, please
that sounds sensible, actually. I wouldn't criticize that.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so the only thing I would say is...
The judge of what is correct says that that's okay. Okay, good.
The only thing I would say about it is it's a bit presumptuous to assume that life on Mars would be the same as life on Earth. That's all I'd say. Otherwise, with regards to life on Earth, what they say is
hearing like the opening statement of something and then interrupting before I could potentially even, questions are typically saved for the end of something to allow for the possibility of
Andy,
maybe
stop
they'll
crying
address.
And get through this thing. Are you done?
Can I? I don't think he'll let me.
Okay.
Sorry, Mace. So if these same results were found on Earth, they would be seen as caused by biological processes That's not implying that Mars is exactly like Earth. Don't worry, nobody's saying that. On ancient Earth, archaean prokaryotes called methanogens naturally produced methane, and these microorganisms are still present in anoxic wetlands, hot springs, and the digestive system of some animals. So the methane produced by these methanogens enters the atmosphere and interacts with ultraviolet light in a way that produced more complex molecules that came down on Earth's surface, and these molecules have been preserved in rocks along with their carbon signatures. So the team thinks a similar process could have happened on Mars, giving us the results we have today, which would mean Mars at some point had life on it in the past. However, the researchers said, slow down, not to get too ahead of ourselves, and that there are other possible explanations for this signature, but that none are too solid to be sure of yet. It is also noted as a possibility that the scientists are being too geocentric when trying to come up with explanations for things on Mars. If we draw too many parallels between what we don't nod your head, between what we know happens on Earth and what we think happens on Mars, we could run the risk of assuming too many similarities, as my imbecile friend felt the need to preemptively point out. One non-biological reason. I'm sorry, Mace, you don't look amused. One non-biological reason for this signature could be molecular clouds. This hypothesis states that our system passed through a molecular cloud millions of years ago, a rare event believed to happen every 100 million years. And these clouds are primarily molecular hydrogen, but one could have been rich in the carbon detected by the rover Curiosity. And such a cloud would have caused the radical cooling of Mars, bringing glaciation and causing the carbon to appear in deposits instead of mixing with the other carbon on Mars. And this hypothesis...
No. It's pretty much proven, as far as I'm concerned, that the state that Mars is in was caused by a nuclear explosion.
Wait,
this
what?
hypothesis is supported.
What are you implying?
We got another class clown here coming in.
What?
You know, Travis, I think a teacher did you a massive disservice when you were a kid when they said there's no such thing as stupid questions. Forget about that.
Wait. What is the implication of a nuclear explosion on Mars?
The implication is that, well, it's what it says on the tin, that at some point in Mars's history, there was a massive planet-wide nuclear explosion.
Once again, Mace just can't resist stealing the show. This hypothesis is supported by where the samples were collected, but it still asks for an unlikely chain of events. The other non-biological process is ultraviolet light. The atmosphere of Mars is over 95% carbon dioxide. It's possible that UV light interacted with this carbon and produced new carbon-containing molecules, which would have rained down on Mars, giving us these samples without the necessity of methanogens. But all three explanations seem to fit the data that we currently have, but what we do have is just too limited, the information, and at the moment to come to a conclusion about what is actually correct. So almost half of the Curiosity's rover samples have surprisingly high levels of C12, higher than the ratios on Earth, and found in Martian meteorites and in the Martian atmosphere. So those are the ends of my notes on that.
Cool.
Professional name commented Virgin Science Denier versus Chad Science Appreciator. I wonder who he's referring to as the Chad there.
Yeah, it really could be either one. Both of us could be either one. Mace, continue with your thought about Mars and the nuclear explosion, because this is an interesting thought that I think is possible.
So because of the presence of xenon 129 in the atmosphere, it's highly likely that at some point in Mars's history, we're talking, I think, 500 million years. No, I can't. You know what? I'm not even going to pretend I remember the date. I don't. I'm not good with numbers, but some point in history, it was around the time that life on Earth would have just been coming out of the sea onto land. That's all I remember time-wise. Around that time, there was a massive nuclear explosion on Mars, which completely stripped the planet of its atmosphere and left.
You mean a civilization had a
no, Travis, a naturally occurring nuclear bomb.
Well, he didn't say bomb.
So it could be naturally occurring.
Yeah, exactly,
there is evidence
Andy.
to.
Fuck you.
There is. I mean, the thing is that the evidence suggests that the nuclear explosion was airborne, and as far as we know, that doesn't happen naturally. Maybe we're just not aware of a naturally occurring airborne nuclear explosion. But one thing we are aware of is a man-made version. So hard to say. I would say it's definitely evidence, perhaps not conclusive, but evidence that Mars was nuked by an intelligent species.
Well, that's bold.
Any hypothesis that involves intelligent spacefaring aliens, I believe, automatically.
All right, Andy, that was good. That was a good news piece. What's next?
Monkey news.
Monkey news.
I mean, I guess technically maybe, in a very broad sense. I also got this from SciTech Daily. Monumental project underway to sequence the genome of every complex species on Earth. So in a really lazy, broad umbrella way, I guess technically this is monkey news, but it's also
that's not monkey news
and dog news and cat news. So the Earth Biogenome Project, scientists just have a shitty imagination when it comes to naming things, is a global consortium with the goal of sequencing the genomes of all the complex life on Earth, which is around 1.8 million known species in 10 years. And if researchers succeed, they will no longer be limited to a small amount of model species and will be able to mine from a DNA sequence database of any organism with interesting traits. And with
completely support that. Throw as much money at that as you can. That sounds like a great idea. I mean, the Human Genome Project is such a success. Why not have
genetically, some types of people are different than other types, right, Mace?
Sorry.
Moving on. With this information, we could better understand how complex life evolved, how it works, and how biodiversity can be protected. This project began in London, so not just terrible people who interrupt you come out of London, in 2018, and is currently leaving its early stages into the more large-scale production. The directive of Phase 1 is to sequence one genome from every taxonomic family on Earth, around 9,400 of them. And by the end of this year, 1/3 of them should be complete. Phase 2 will involve the sequencing of a representative from all 180,000 genera, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And Phase 3 would see the completion of all the species. So previously, scientists would have used model species to understand gene functions like mice, fruit flies, and nematodes. But currently, they are seeking the potentially huge advantage of having other differently functioning species as examples. And studying obscure organisms has historically helped us to understand genetics. Right. This is a part that I found is really interesting. With genes first being discovered by Gregor Mendel in peas, and the rules that they follow first being seen in red bread mold. And DNA was first discovered in salmon sperm, and some of what we know about what keeps sperm secure comes from research on tardigrades, water bears. So chromosomes were first witnessed in mealworms, and sex chromosomes in a beetle, and the actions of a sex chromosome were first studied in fish and the platypus. And finally, telomeres were discovered first in pond scum. And another aim of this operation is conservation genomics, a field that uses DNA sequencing to identify threatened species, which includes 28% of complex species.
Okay, well, yeah, and it sounds like there's some practical application there for humanity. Yeah, that's cool. What do you think, man?
And the more we understand genetics, the closer we are to engineering cat girls, which is what Mace tells me in private is his.
No, I don't.
What the hell are cat
Never said
girls?
that. I think he means furries. And
Nice try, Travis. Nice try feigning ignorance.
I've never heard that term, cat girl.
It's people that
It's a furry,
I'm assuming it's
thing.
people that have like a fetish for dressing up in furry cat outfits.
Interesting.
And not really, but if I start explaining it makes me look bad.
Why? The amount of detail that you have on the topic?
No. Does it refer to bestiality?
It refers to an anime trope.
Oh, is it at like a half person, half
Again,
cat?
Yeah, a person with cat ears and a cat tail. It's basically.
Why do they have cat ears and a cat tail?
Andy's going
I
to
don't
jail.
know, because somehow to some people it makes it better, I guess.
Andy's going to jail.
That raises so many questions. I wouldn't be able to watch that.
If you want to call it bestiality, I don't think anyone's going to actually argue with you. No. Elon Musk said he'll try and make those. At least as a joke, I can't remember.
Like, what's the context of this cat person though? Like, are they an experiment, or are people just going about their business like they can't see it? Like, what's going on?
Everything I hear about this is a meme. Like I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, they might actually be trying it for some BS reason," but do I ever look into it? No, because my search history is infected enough as it is. But maybe we can get off this.
Okay, let's
go into it in more detail. Just a reminder, guys, drop a like. Make sure you share the stream. The Trav and Andy show, the Pangburn show. I think Mace needs to be a regular as well.
Thank you.
No, he needs to be, because
I've gone right up the.
Every time I've asked him to be on the show, he's always like, why didn't you ask me first? What do you mean?
I can't believe I've gone from being the backup guest to being requested regularly. That's nice.
Every other backup.
This is the kind of respect I deserve.
You know,
Andy.
It's funny.
Why don't I get this? From
it's funny that Andy came up with that concept of like backup guest, and I let him roll with it. But of course, like when someone gets invited, they're like, it's like, yeah, you. It's like, yeah, oh no, it's like, can you be the backup guest for today? It's like, backup guest, like, who's the actual guest? Oh, it's Zemo. It's like,
I really hope that nobody in the audience is under the impression that is my idea. I don't run this show at all.
Andy, this is your show, man. You have to wear the burden.
Your name is before mine, and it's your channel.
You have to wear the burden of anything negative.
Oh, okay. I'm the scapegoat, huh?
Yes.
Well, as the trusted head of the show, apparently, my co-host Travis told me that he thinks white people are superior.
Oh my God, Andy!
To other types
what
of
a dork.
people.
I think I'm gonna put this city in a place where I probably shouldn't put it, but I don't know. I plan on taking this city, so. Oh boy. Okay. Do you have any more items, Andy?
I can.
Somebody just
hold on. Lexicon says that I can confirm as a guest that is how it comes across when Andy calls on you.
Okay, everybody just pick on me now.
Everyone pick on Andy. Quick, spam the chat. Everyone lay their best insult on Andy. You only have 10 seconds to get it in. The winner wins a book. Best insult, Andy, go.
Wow, Travis,
It's okay.
talk about
It's okay
like
if they're
shamelessly
It's okay
marketing.
if they're actually like.
We need to get
compliments.
Zemo to join. Would Zemo just be able to join because he was the intended guest, and Mace was the vigilante, just showed up guest, and then Travis was lenient about it. So, Zemo, if you can come in, come on. Yeah, sorry, I know.
Okay, Andy, we got some good ones coming in. I really like Andy in the Wonderwall video. Oh my god,
I like that
so
song.
good.
So
that
if that's supposed to be an insult,
your shirt is
you
too
can-
yellow. Tim just fucking laid it down, man.
Oh
Went
my
right for the
fucking
jugular.
God. How the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my. Fucking
Andy reminds me of Travis.
Hey! You do not fucking know me, motherfucker. Do not treat me that way, motherfucker. I didn't treat you that.
Your glasses are. Look at
I'll
Mace. Look at Mace. The only time he's ever had an exclamation mark behind anything, your glasses are round.
I want to look like a villain, professional name, because these glasses are, Travis' comments about John Lennon. These are directly inspired by Dr. Eggman, who's my personal hero. All right.
What about Andy? What do you think about what I had to say? I said Andy is so cool. He loves his mom.
I do love my mom. Are you
There
saying
you
you
go.
hate your mother, Travis?
No, I'm saying you're so cool and you
Nice,
love your
Travis.
mom.
Nice.
Hey guys, Zemo's
Well,
here.
well,
Zemo,
well.
you got to turn on your camera or else we won't understand
You
your
can't see me?
language.
We
You
have
can't see me?
the jilted lover in the chat. Hey, Zemo.
Okay,
Wow.
Can't see
yeah,
me?
we got you.
He's invisible to you, Travis. Wow. And you're over here
You
saying
can't
I don't
see
care
me.
about
No, I can see you. I was
Hey.
watching the YouTube stream, which is a bit behind.
Well. What do you know? When you need some fireworks in the show, you bring in the ringer.
We bring in the
You just
Zemo.
gotta bring in the ringer. No,
Yeah.
I'm just playing. But real quick, Andy, do you think it's proper etiquette to tell someone a show starts at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which it then started at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, which I'm not really good at the switching the math and all that, but I know for a fact that 6:30 Eastern could not be a rounded number Pacific, and then I have to wait in the wings for an hour before I know what the hell I'm doing. Do you think that's proper etiquette, Andy?
Zemo, when Travis puts me in charge of finding these guests, usually he trusts that the people I find are educated at an at least third grade level and know how to use the internet, so they could look up the conversion for these time zones. I'm sorry that I was wrong in assuming that was correct about you. I'll try harder next time.
Okay. Well, I'll forgive you. I got the third grade education down, so no worries about that.
That was a sizzler.
Third grade is when it fell apart for me because that was long division, and that was when I just started to absolutely hate that.
Zemo, what do you got, man? What's on your mind?
Oh man, nothing much. Just listening to you beautiful folks chitter chat away.
Nice. Did you have a topic that you wanted to touch on?
Well, my show's tomorrow night. I think
Okay.
I want to save some of it for then, right? But
Yeah.
what's
the topic tomorrow night?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the media. Should the media be trusted? Have they do we have reasons to mistrust them? How do you become media literate? How do you find what's true in a world of alternative media sources when traditional media has failed us time and time again, et cetera, right? So how to make sense with the falling apart of the sense-making apparatus, or the apparent falling apart or corruption of the sense-making apparatus and that we've developed so far.
I think that's a great topic, Zemo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just blatant disagreement about what reality even is among news sources.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's crazy how big the bias is, how different the story is going to be.
Oh yeah. Back 10 years ago, people disagreed on the facts, and now we disagreed on the conclusions from the facts. Now we just have totally different facts.
Yeah,
If you have
now it's actually racist to care about facts because
oh yeah,
fact,
every
the value of a fact is a ethnocentric patriarchal idea.
correct, yeah.
Correct.
It's a cultural concept imposed on other cultural societies, right?
Professional name gave me a good one that I'm not sure how to feel about this. Andy looks like a journalist who is moderately reliable. Only moderately reliable. That's better than not, but it's not that good either. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah. It's not. It's good, not great.
That's me. I'll accept that.
I don't know, Andy. You look like if you took off your shirt, I could see your spine, your whole spine. You know what I mean?
See, I think there's something wrong with my spine because when I'm
just very, very easily. You know what I mean?
When I'm standing in the mirror, I'm glad I'm thin. When I'm standing in the mirror, I'll notice that I'm tilted slightly, and I don't think that's a good thing.
You got the scoliosis, man.
Maybe. I
They
got
checked you in third
scoliosis.
grade for that? Yeah.
Y'all should discuss.
Hey, did you Zemo? Did you catch the Sam Harris Jordan Peterson podcast?
Nah, man. I just heard about it on here.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. I'm about 25-30% through, but
I saw that. I was really triggered that they referenced your tour.
I'm surprised Jordan didn't. I'm surprised Jordan didn't drop my name, but
yeah, I was really disappointed they didn't mention you.
I also
wonder, they were talking about your tour.
I mean, it could have been a stipulation with Sam that he didn't want to talk about me or my involvement. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Sam totally avoided the
less I like it. And I already didn't like him, but then the more I learn, it just goes down and down further.
Yeah, I really don't like that guy.
Who's Sam?
Every time I see him, I just feel triggered now.
Well, I
will admit, it was kind of a bitch move on Travis's part. If the story of what you've told me is accurate, that, it's yeah, man, that sucks,
Who are y'all talking about? Who don't you like, Mace? Who don't you like, Andy?
Evil Ben Stiller.
Sam Harris. Evil Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's friend.
I prefer good Ben Stiller, who's in movies that are at times enjoyable, but not all the time.
I don't know. I like them, but when you set this bar for yourself that you're gonna always be honest and you're protecting yourself from bad incentives, he has the I don't know. He set up his structure supposedly where he avoids audience capture and stuff like this, right? And potentially demonetization or whatever the hell. But when you espouse you're kind of going to live this life, I mean it's a high bar to live up to. So any transgressions, especially if you're a moral philosopher, because anything you do that is even questionable, it's going to look 10 times as worse, right? The wider the clothes, the dirtier it looks, right?
Yeah, I'll say most.
Travis loves white clothes, especially white clothes with a pointy white hood. Yeah, he loves those.
You guys,
not a lot of white supremacists in Canada, right?
I think some of the things that Sam Harris has done are, in my opinion, pretty dreadful things that no decent human being would ever do, regardless of whether they're a philosopher or not. I don't want to get into too much detail about it because obviously I don't want to bring the stream down, but the guy basically fucked up Travis's business and basically bullied him in a pretty unacceptable manner, really.
Yeah, if you guys want to know my perspective on what happened between Sam Harris and I, you can go to thewarofideas.org and you can find my full explanation of that. But I will say, outside of that, the things I outlined there, I think Sam Harris is a person that is trying to do good, and I highly value a lot of his work. I think he's operating, I think he claims to be operating under the right moral foundation, and the moral outlook that he promotes, I think, is correct. But yeah, I have some major business ethics gripes with Sam Harris that eventually came up after doing a lot of business with him. And that's that. But I do wish him and his brand, all the good things. A lot of people that enjoy Sam Harris's work and follow Sam Harris also enjoy the Pangburn channel and what we do here and what we continue to try to do to make big conversations happen, like I did with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris for the 4-part series. And we want to incentivize more people to take huge risks to make things like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson coming together happen. It was a massive, massive, massive risk that Pangburn took to make those conversations happen. For Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris to not acknowledge that risk on the podcast that they just did, if you start taking away incentives, including the acknowledgement at how important it is for investors and people who want to make a change in a really big way, to want to get involved in things like that, Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson are doing a disservice to the intellectual discourse movement by not acknowledging the people who were responsible for really taking on the risk and making those events happen. Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris just got to soar in, promote a bit on their social media and on their podcast, but they just get to soar into the city. The chairs are waiting for them on stage. But that, in order to make events happen the way that they did in this case, it's like the amount of money and resources, time and effort and energy put into this should not go unacknowledged. Those
I would give Jordan the benefit of the doubt here, because it did seem like he was trying to lead up to mentioning you. He was bringing up the topic.
Look, Jordan and I speak, and we're on good terms, and Jordan has decided to go with the very large promoters that I don't think necessarily, like for his big tour that he's doing right now, I don't think they necessarily care much about the war of ideas and the intellectual zeitgeist, like Live Nation. I don't think they have much of a dog in that fight. And Jordan, and then Jordan has himself tangled up with these agents that manage his availability, where, I'll talk to Jordan about an event idea that I have, and he'll be like, okay, sounds interesting. I'll forward you to Justin and the guys that manage this for me. And then those guys tend to torpedo the opportunities. So I want people to know that like conversations like getting Richard Dawkins and Jordan Peterson together on stage for a big, like, Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson type event. This is something I've been trying for a while to make happen. And sometimes when you get very, very hyper famous, the agents and managers and family members can sometimes start getting in the way of some really good things. But there are people out there who are very famous who have found a way to navigate away from that. And where they're not opposed to doing these things, or their fees haven't become so astronomical that you can't do anything with them anymore. And there are some people who have let that get to them, and it just kills opportunity to have these important discussions. But yeah, that's just some thoughts on that. But a big thing, people need to start incentivizing, celebrating the people and the businesses that take on massive risk to make these particular live discussions happen. That we can't forget that.
Yeah. So how do you think it's best to incentivize that?
Well, part of it is acknowledging the important role that when I heard Sam talking about this, he made it sound like, yeah, we did the first 2 podcasts together, and then out of that, these live discussions were born, like as though
right.
it completely not including my efforts behind the scenes to do my best to make this happen. Not only just one night, but pressuring, continuing to convince and argue why this needs to be multiple nights across multiple bodies of land. And we sold 9,500 people in Dublin alone that we filled up. And, accomplishing this stuff is not easy. What's going to make it more attractive is if we start showing some appreciation for the risk that's being taken. And that not only as a consumer of these live discussions and understanding, that they're no easy feat, but also the people that are involved that get the red carpet laid out for them and the pampered, experience of arriving in the city, a limo picking you up, all that stuff, a very pampered experience. And, being walked out onto the stage and all that stuff. It's, just to engage in intellectual discourse. We can't devalue and forget about the incredible amount of hard work and the money that is risked to make this stuff happen.
Yeah. And I will say I've watched a lot of Sam Harris, a lot of Jordan Peterson, a lot of intellectual discussions, but this isn't sucking up. This is how I honestly feel. I feel like your events were something different. There was something different about them. There was something, maybe the long form discussion format.
It was really important to me.
Put my finger on it, but
it's really important to me with my live discussions that what I want to capture is the things I get to witness behind the scenes when we go out to dinner or when we go to the bar and have conversations.
Like a conversation. Right?
That's what I want to capture on the stage. That's the most important thing to me. Structure be damned. I just planning necessary topics that have to be touched on be damned. Just get out there and talk about what you really want to talk to this person about. And then the other part of it is to have fun with it. Create a fun environment where people can feel like they can just go for it and be a little bit vulnerable in their thinking, think on their sleeve a little bit. And when I come out and introduce these people like they're like rock stars, it's not because I want to do something like I saw someone do at the World Wrestling Federation. It's because I really feel that way and that charged up for these kind of things. It's an event when you have 2 titanic minds, especially prevalent on the internet, clash, especially with totally opposing viewpoints, epistemologies, however you want to categorize their disagreements, right? But your events seemed like they just seemed like something really valuable, and like I said, I watched a lot of Jordan, a lot of Sam, but these really stuck out, and I'll rewatch those probably more than I rewatch any other discussions. The Matt Dillahunty and Jordan Peterson one. The point is that for them to at least not mention your name at least once it's kind of mind blowing, honestly. And from my memory, I don't think they ever mentioned your name beforehand either. Really, they did. It went. This. A lot of this probably has to do with the negativity surrounding what happened between Sam Harris and I and some other members of the intellectual dark web, which I wish people could remove that and separate that from just acknowledging, what actually did happen in reality. But what up, Iron Charioteer? Grumler. Oh yeah, Grumler. You've been here. Thanks, Dan. Guys, make sure you drop a like on this video.
Comment section is wild down there, brother.
Yeah,
wild.
That's great.
People are getting at it. Yeah.
What are some conversations you guys would love to see happen?
Like people talking to different people, or topics?
I'm saying like personalities that you would like to see come together to have a discussion.
Yeah.
I don't really know any of these people, so.
How about Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins?
That would be a good one, wouldn't it? I've heard that they may have had a conversation in Oxford or something, and it might have been recorded. I don't know if there's much truth to that, but I think that would be very interesting, and that's one I've wanted to put together.
I think.
By the way, I've posted a link to the War of Ideas article explaining Travis's account of the Sam Harris incident. I recommend you read through that in its entirety. It's a really good place to start when researching the topic. Of course, I'd also recommend you have a look at other sources on the internet as well, so you can piece together your own picture of what happened, which is what I did. And I was able to come to the conclusion, after doing all my own research, that Sam Harris is a garbage human being.
Well, he is an atheist.
Jesus,
so,
Andy.
Travis, you also got kind of screwed over by that Weinstein guy, right?
Well, I outline. I don't know if I mentioned Eric in the.
You mentioned that Sam Harris manipulates the other people you're working with to also cause problems.
Yeah, so some other people were drawn into that, but there's just people should just read that, and which has a lot of detail in it of what was going on at the time. But yeah, just be careful. A lot of people may see you may put a lot of trust in people that you really look up to, and you may put a little more trust than you should in people in those circumstances. But make sure you dot your T's and dot your T's, cross your T's and dot your I's. No, actually, you know what? Dot your T's and cross your
first name
for once.
And your first name starts with a T. You should know this better than anybody. Jesus. No, but I think any solid philosopher, maybe like David Chalmers or I don't know, someone else with sit down with Lawrence Krauss, because upon further investigation, I've learned that he is a little bit philosophically devoid of philosophical intricacies. Yeah.
I think I've heard Lawrence say, "This is why I hate philosophy." Like I've heard him say that before. So, yeah. But one of these days,
I would agree with Lawrence 100% on that.
I have those moments, man. I have those moments where, it's like, is raping a child objectively bad? And it's like, fuck. By what metric? It's like.
So
by
Dal,
the metric that you can fuck off, right? You know what I mean?
So just say yes.
So
that's
Dal,
what I want to say.
So Dal,
that's what I want to say. I know it's not acceptable, but
so Dal says Sam Harris and Travis Pangburn is the conversation I want to see. So I have a standing invitation to have a conversation with Sam if he wants to have a conversation about business ethics, if he wants to have a conversation about what went down between us. Happy to do it. If he wants to have a conversation about philosophy, science.
I think anything with that business transaction, I think it's going to be like I did this. No, you didn't do that. You did this. It's just going to be from my perspective,
Yeah,
from your
I'm not.
perspective.
I'm not
Okay.
looking forward to that if that ever happens.
I don't give a
Okay,
shit about
Travis,
that.
Yeah,
Travis,
it is
this
going to
is,
be. You are right that probably a lot of that would be like, well, from my perspective, this is how this part felt. But there are some real topics about business ethics and how we should treat each other, and the relying on the influence of our power on social media to try and convince people of some really evil things, like about individuals. Like that part of it is something I would want to touch on with Sam.
Sam
Sam
is not a moral authority though, because he doesn't even act on the philosophy that he claims to hold.
I mean, I would say in instances with my dealings with Sam, I would say that's true. But again, I also had some really good experiences
But
with
it's
Sam.
not true. He gave
No.
care
That's what
about...
I mean. I'm saying in those breakdowns that we had, of course, like I couldn't believe what I perceived to be the immoral behavior that he was engaging in, kind of like a child, a silver spoon-fed child that has been told that he can't have another bite of ice cream.
Well, he is a trust fund baby, right? His mother wrote Golden Girls or invented Golden Girls, right?
Yeah, he admits
Oh my
it too.
God,
He's not
which is
dodging
no
on that.
knock on him, right? I mean,
Yeah. I
what
love
else
Sam
is he
Harris's-
supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
I
mean,
love Sam
he's
Harris's
gone out.
mother. I love his
He's gone
mother.
out. He's made a great name for himself. He's written tons of books. You know, when people knock him for that, it's like, what is he supposed to do? Just keep being
Well,
I'm
that's
not
trash.
knocking him for that. I'm knocking him for saying that his
No, sure,
moral foundation is based on maximizing well-being for himself and those around him, and then all he does is maximize well-being for himself. He doesn't give a shit about the people around him. As soon as it's inconvenient to him, then he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Travis, I just
this
want to say real
immediately-
quick, thank you for being a friend.
Up and down
bet,
the
man.
road and back again.
Everyone's-
I got it, Andy.
Your
I got
heart,
it.
your heart is true.
But,
You know,
it's not. It's the way he treats his
confidant.
fans, man.
And
Like,
a confidant.
Travis was, and I think he still is, his biggest fan, and he treated him like shit on his shoe. And not just Travis, but also all the people he paid to go and see him at that event that he then will cause to get cancelled. Like, he doesn't care about any of his fans at all. He just cares about the money by the looks of it.
I mean,
Okay,
he's
so we got issues from Eric Weinstein and Sam Harris. Travis, this could be a learning moment. Do you notice anything like that they share between them? That any kind
Jesus
of
Christ,
commonality?
Andy, we're not going down the race road here.
Race? Huh? What?
Anyways,
Hey man, you didn't hear Whoopi Goldberg? It's not about race.
so what do you
We
guys
should
what do you
talk
guys
about
think?
that,
We
dude.
got
We should talk about Whoopi Goldberg.
have you guys make sure you drop a like here. We got about a half hour left on this show, and then we're going to send everyone over to the Discord server and to our other channel, because John Parker is going to be coming on to run a discussion about cancel culture. I think we're going to have that's going to be a
Doesn't exist.
robust discussion.
Cancel culture is just consequence culture.
Well, it's important to kind of figure out what we all mean by that when we say cancel culture, right?
Yeah, because some people definitely have like something that would have happened in the 90s or 80s. You know, someone does something legitimately wrong, they get fired from their job. Oh, it's cancel culture. But then it gets mixed in with trivial things.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, you want to see cancel culture at its finest, or just this toxic culture of PC political correctness. Watch the anytime I can give him a shout out, the Norm Macdonald interview for when he said retard, and then he self-corrected and said Down syndrome, and apparently that's more offensive, which is confusing, right? And then he went on The View with Joy
bad, to be
Behar
fair.
and Whoopi Goldberg.
That's bad.
But he goes on The View, and this is astonishing footage. Like, they know he's not a bad person, right? They know him. He's a comedian. They're comedians, and he's sitting there, and I've never seen Norm so tame, and he's almost crying. I mean, I will never forgive those fucking women for what they did to him.
Why
totally
would he confuse Down syndrome with being retarded though?
Because he's a comedian, all right? It's not his job
Because
to know what
he's
these fucking
retarded,
words
okay?
mean. It's his job to make people laugh and be a modern clown, basically. Like, how are you going to take what he says so seriously when his whole job is jokes?
Well, I mean,
I like
call me
Travis's
ignorant.
answer. I find that really ironic.
Call me ignorant, but I don't. I mean, what's the distinction between Down syndrome and retarded? I mean, you could say retarded is just being dumb, like you're stopped in your development, right? You're retarded in your development, right? But Down syndrome is like you're not just dumb; you literally have autism, or not autism, but whatever. What's the difference?
Down syndrome is neither of the things you just said. Like, there are some really intelligent Down syndrome people.
Nate has hands-on knowledge.
Yeah, just like there's very intelligent people with autism, right? I mean,
because he's always putting his hands on me.
Grumler said humor is humor. Fuck all that canceling. Yeah, I agree with you when it comes to humor. Anytime someone tries to tell me what I should think is funny, I just think that is retarded.
Yeah, just look. You can disagree with whatever message you feel is like embedded into the joke, but like, just let it be. Like, it's comedy. Like, you don't have to keep listening. Like, it's comedy. It's performance. Whatever. And it's possible that maybe that joke really is just a joke, and that there is no implication of anything.
Well, I mean, there's also just how people talk. I mean, you know, he's in Howard Stern's studio. People like
say
that,
retarded
say
every
things,
5 seconds in Howard Stern's culture, right?
Wait, he got in trouble. Yeah. He got in trouble from something he said in Howard Stern's studio. Isn't Howard Stern's show like? Didn't he have like a kid who's literally retarded, and they made fun of that?
Beetlejuice.
Gary the retard. It is a character on the show.
Yeah, Gary the retard.
We're just forgetting that segment to this change.
So
he'd always bring on drunk midgets and fucking.
So let's talk about you guys.
Strippers, you know.
I want to ask you guys about this. So one of my favorite John Lennon songs ever is "Women Are the Nigger of the World."
Great song.
John Lennon and Yoko Ono did that song, and I highly suggest people look it up. It's on YouTube. You can find it where you look. But from what I'm seeing by how people have been going after Joe Rogan for using that word, what do you guys think? Like, do you think that even in the context of like, okay, the title of this song is "Women Are the Nigger of the World"? Do you guys buy into this thing that if you're reading the title of that song, that it is by default racist to read that title?
I think this stream is going to get taken down just for you quoting it.
I would 100%.
I mean, maybe it will, right? But
I would 100% disagree with that idea that by just reading it, it is racist. And obviously, the song is not racist either. But I would like to say that one of my favorite songs is by an absolutely wonderful woman named Patti Smith, greatest rock star of all time. I got into her with a song called "Rock and Roll Nigger," and she repeatedly says the N-word in that song. Great song. I love that song. It is not racist.
Because I of course agree that like using that as an insult or a slang towards a black person, like, you are an absolute cunt if you do that, right? There's another word.
He uses it as a compliment in that song,
right?
And then in the John Lennon song, he's using it as like a message of how women are oppressed.
Right? Yeah. And look, some people might say like, I don't like the analogy or I don't like the metaphor. Fair enough. I actually think it's a really good song, but I just I just want to kind of get the Pangburn audience's feelings about like. People are passing around this like, this comedian who has dropped this word from time to time when referencing what other comedians said, or however he used it, but he's not using it in like a as far as I can tell, he's using it to like quote somebody or
right.
Why
Exactly.
Why is the issue with him quoting the song and not the song itself?
Well, that's the thing. It's like someone's trying to like, and this is what I said. I'm gonna continue. Like when I play the song, like it literally the lyrics are, "Woman of the nigger of the world."
That's crazy.
What?
I just really hope Yoko is not singing that part. Or any part, actually. She can't sing.
Yeah, she's a terrible singer.
The entire song
just
was
screams
written
into
by-
the mic.
Broke up the Beatles. How dare she? She broke up the Beatles. How dare she?
I don't know if she did,
hot
but
take from
that's
Zemo.
gonna open a big can of worms.
Yeah.
But
Even though Andy, don't you think the Beatles suck? Didn't you say you do?
can I ask you guys? Do you
That's
think?
all-
that wasn't-
Do you
Okay, that
guys
wasn't-
think the people that get that are so authoritarian about this word, do you think that I should stop playing and singing that song?
Absolutely not.
I'm of
It's a
the
difficult
personal
one.
opinion. Look. This is a little bit of a hot take, but I am personally under the opinion that it would do a lot of good for Black people and other people, but specifically Black people, to just get over the N-word. I mean, it's time.
Which
Uh,
And
Why don't you
ladies and
say it?
gentlemen, this is the
So-
last episode
so
of
when
the
you
Travis
say-
Pangburn
so
show.
when you
No,
say
no,
get
no,
over
no,
it,
hear me out.
Hear-
Let's let
No, no,
Zemo
no, no,
finish.
no, hear me.
Let's let Zemo finish.
Hear me out. Yeah, hear me out. So, I mean, we know that if you walk around a Black person and say the N-word, right, that there's a high probability that you're about to get punched in the face, right? And people don't even question this. But if a Jew did it being called the K slang term, or a Hispanic did it, my point is, no other group reacts this way, right? Now,
or if
do
you
I
walked up
think-
to a white person and called them a ghost, like
a cracker,
in fact,
ghosty.
people in the
I'm
street
not
would give
personally-
you a high five. They'd be like, "Ah, yeah, you showed him."
Yeah, sure. I mean, I really don't like
I would be
advertising the
incredibly
fact that we're
offended.
discriminated against. Like, I think that's corny, right? Like, if you keep doing that, like, oh yeah, you can get away with saying cracker. Like, I really don't
Yeah,
care
but
about that.
You have to
It's-
admit,
it's-
white people are the most hated
Oh,
race
yeah.
in the world, wherever you go. Even in
I
white
don't- I don't
countries,
think so.
they're the most hated
I think
race.
me-
I
It's like,
totally disagree.
I disagree.
I totally disagree with that.
Yeah,
Black
China-
people have been
in China,
Yeah.
like
It's a-
literally, people, it's okay
Oh, yeah.
for them to say they're like, yeah, it's normal not to want to live around Black people. Like in certain parts of China, like even some Chinese girls I've met in Canada have told me that, like, yeah, this is like, you would be, they think that it's stupid to want to live around Black people, which of course is racist,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, but Chinese are racist. Not all of them, of course, but China has a huge problem with racism against white people as well.
Do you think so?
No, but
I think they
in
worship
China,
white
you
people.
could literally get a job,
No.
and your
If you
whole job is
if you go and live in China, you're gonna have problems.
no. If you
I mean,
if
that-
you're
this-
a
this-
good-looking white person and you move to China, one of your jobs could be to just be a good-looking white person in business
Oh yeah,
meetings
dude.
to make
Yeah,
to
dude.
make it. That's a thing you can
That's
do
what
in
I'm
China.
talking
Yeah, there is some positive discrimination.
But one thing I would
for
say
white
to
people,
what
but there's
Zemo
also
said-
negative discrimination.
Well, one
there.
thing-
It depends
I,
where
I,
you go.
I wouldn't call that hatred.
One
I would
thing
call
that
that
Zemo-
objectification, maybe.
One thing that Zemo said, I think there is a level of taboo with regards to that word that is taught to some children, where it's not taught to other children in the same way. For instance, I have some Black friends who grew up in a household that was very much like, this word is the word of someone who wants to do you harm, and it's gonna, anyone who says it like has the worst intentions behind it. But then there was some like some of my black friends that grew up, and yeah, they happen to be more conservative, have more of the view of like, you know, yeah, it's got like a lot of historical significance, and it's still used by some racists today to try to get a rise out of black people. But like, I just let that shit roll off my shoulders. So I know people from both, you know, both of those demographics.
I just think they're giving it more power. I mean, they're giving the word more power. I mean, once again, if any other race or ethnic group reacted to a word like black people routinely react to the N-word, and, you know, I mean, we would think they're totally nuts. Like, oh, a guy got beat up for calling a Jewish guy a kike. Like, this doesn't happen. I mean, you could see school videos where one kid says the N-word and a black dude just jumps over 3 desks and decks them, and nobody thinks twice about it. It's expected. And my point is, you're giving power to the word, and it doesn't also help that you're the only other race that uses it as a term of endearment, right? I mean, there's not a lot of Jewish people calling themselves, you know, Ike or whatever. Right.
Dale Diablo would like to raise an excellent point, and that is, if you didn't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. So I think this adds a certain degree of nuance to where if black people want to stop facing racism, all they needed to do was vote for Biden, or not vote for Biden, and they will turn white.
Well, we get into race a lot. Let's on our channel, we have a voice channel on Discord dedicated to it. We talk about it so much. We're always sending Nivik down there. By the way, Nivik, if you're listening, love you, man. Always love me some Nivik.
Oh, man, I know he's freaking out at what I'm saying right now. But
okay, there's our Discord link. Guys, come and join our Discord server. We're heading down to the tavern right now. We have 15 minutes in the tavern before we're going to jump up back into the live stream channel, because we got John Parker coming up. Mace. You got something?
Yeah, just before we go, I just want to point out something absolutely hilarious I find about the position some people hold, where they say it's okay for a black person to say nigger, but it's not okay for a white person to say it. If you question that person, say, why is it okay for black people to say it? They'll be like, well, because they are... Oh, yeah. No, they're the racist one for thinking that.
Well,
that's a classic Dave Chappelle bit, right?
Bal Diablo's being called Eminem. Or no, sorry, Zemo. I thought, oh my god, I read that so wrong.
Bro, it's so corny. Like, any white dude that even slightly is urban or whatever, Eminem, it's so unoriginal.
Okay,
get a better
insult,
you know.
Your actual
tell me I'm fucking pale or look like a fucking salamander bug.
Ladies and gentlemen,
shit,
it's been Andy, Mace, and Eminem coming to you live.
And Marshall Mathers.
Marshall Mathers.
The rap god.
Come and join us on Discord.
The rap god.
We're hanging out we're in the live hangout already, so we'll hang out. We'll head over to the live hangout. Andy, Mace, Zemo, thank you guys so much. We'll be back on Thursday, live show, same time, same place. Make sure you come and join us. Thanks, guys. Let art and science inspire.